Shalom is real quick video. Giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles, elders, bishops, a great millstone, much salutations to the brothers teaching the word for the hopeful elect, soon to be elect. Most high will to the hopeful extended elect, Shalom, blessing, men, women, and children. I'm going to call this MLK was a steer. Read the definition. A steer is a male bovine, hopefully I'm saying that right, cattle that has been castrated at a young age. Now we use Michael Jordan as an example. They cut off, and it's going to say because they lack testicles, they've been castrated, lack testicles. Steers do not have the high testosterone levels of intact males, bulls. You know, that's why they talk about young bulls. Michael Jordan was a young bull, and they pretty much spiritually castrated him, and he lost his, pretty much testicles to testosterone. Well, basically they steered that direction of his of that into what they wanted him to do, to increase their power, because they got paid off of him, and they reaped the benefits of him with Nike and his games and his victories, championship rings, and all that. It says this makes them much calmer, easier to handle, and ensures their meat is tender and well marbled. So, bulls buck, That's why sometimes they call young Jakes bulls. That's why, the Edomite men used to get young Jakes, call them bulls to, bang out their wives. And, I think this is a term called bull for the buck or whatever, or they buck. They also call Jake young buck, because you buck when you're a bull. But even when you're dealing with money, you pay bucks. Like I'll give you $10. You pay $100 for a woman or whatever, for a prostitute. So it plays into that too. But it reminds me of when what Jeroboam did. It reminds me of Aaron telling the people, said, take out your earrings, your gold and all that, and this shall be your gods. And they worship the golden calf, and MLK, the reason why I mentioned him, they play on that term, or that, I don't know if you call it a word or whatever, but king, So he was and he was young in the churches, all that. He'd be considered a young bull, castrated, took his testosterone away, testicles, so he was easy to steer, easy to handle. And a lot of Jakes give it up, they just, so he's become a mockery, look, freedom to twerk. He this is what his so-called walk journey of his own ideal of his ministry and what he think God, but he know he sold out. Yeah, MLK weekend, it's all about partying, kickoff party. They actually have him on flyers like this. This is a real thing when they have their events and all that. So MLK, and that MLK, I've talked about it before. It's a short word to say. If you say MLK, it's almost like saying milk, which goes back to the calf. which goes into what do you call it? The milk carton kids. The missing kids they put on a milk carton. Those are sacrifice to the Baal, sacrifices to the, worship of the golden calf, so to speak. So, and the sacrifices happen when niggas get shot on Martin Luther King Boulevard, because there's almost a Martin Luther King Boulevard in every hood in every state. So what it tells our people sacrifice their children to Molech, which is short for, you look up the word Molech, it means king, but who did they make their gods and kings? A calf, a golden calf, so to speak, and other deities too. Let me get that word right quick, Molech. And it's the word malak, which means king, and it'll say. It said Leviticus 20:3. It says, "I will set my face against that man and will cut him off from among his people because he had given of his seed into Molech." So a lot of these children are dying of Jake into the news and all that publicized. A lot of them, their parents are Freemasonries and Illuminatis under the Illuminati that sacrificed their children into to Molech, to defile my sanctuary, to profane my holy name. Even some Israelite camps, I believe, making sacrifices. It's probably hard to believe, but maybe, and I'm speaking as a man, and I'm saying maybe they've reached that level to where they pass the bag and they sacrificing people. So there's that word right here, malak.
44:32, Molech.
And you see it's ka instead of kha. It says the God of the king right here. It says the God of the Ammonites and Phoenicians, to the whom some Israelites sacrificed their infants in the valley of Hinnom. So it's nothing new under the sun. They doing that today. And what on Martin Luther King, what niggas kill niggas, man. Israel killed Israel, and there's such thing as two-thirds Israelites. So they sacrificing each other, and Negroes even go so far as to kill another Jake's kids. They don't care. They do drive-bys and all that. Innocent bystanders, as women, as kids, as Jake families. They don't care. They just be like, well, whatever, whoever they are, I'm shooting them up. So, there's violence and bloodshed on Martin Luther King Boulevard. I'm in the hood too, but I'm just saying these are main corner key places. That's why it's a boulevard. Key places where Jake roll up and down the street, waiting for something to pop off, gatherings and parties and parades, hanging out and all that. And like I said, on these flyers, that's a common thing now. And a lot of people say, well, yeah, it's mockery. He was a good man. Well, he even told you himself that he led Israel into a burning house. And he didn't say Israel, but we know what he meant. My people I've led into a burning house. His eyes were watery when he said that. He was in deep thought. And then he said, on that last speech, I think that might have been his last speech. He said, I've been to the mountaintop, I've seen, and basically they probably showed him, they probably showed him some high places in Jerusalem and actually told him that he's come from the children of God. He's a part of the holy nation of Israel, and they're black people. That's what they do, and then they'll murder you because they be like, damn, he know the truth now, we gotta take him out because he might steer people. You know, that bull might turn around and you know how it start bucking. And they call it bucking up. You know what I'm saying? Might start bucking up. You know, these are slavery terms. But in a sense, all of us are some kind of sheep or cattle. We're even sheep in the truth. You know, we were sheep and Most High had found us and chose us. Yahweh Shai is a shepherd. So everybody plays their role, you know, and some are sheep's and wolves in sheep's clothing. Some are actually goats and what have you. But, you know, this is, you know, and he got Martin Luther King, he had to make a sacrifice, you know, or he made a sacrifice. I don't know. No, willingly, I don't think he made a sacrifice. I think he was afraid and said, man, what do I do from here? You know, and he didn't make a sacrifice for the elect. He didn't make a sacrifice for the children of Israel. He didn't correct his stance on little white girls, little black boys, and little white boys playing together. All that BS. He didn't correct himself. He didn't talk about that we the chosen people. He didn't say that, you know. Neither did Malcolm X. But you know, it's a deep thing, man. So he has a holiday. And then Black History Month, they always bring them up. So you got to realize, you got to be careful who you choose as a king. And the Most High said, "O ye king," we went over it today. "O ye kings of the earth, judge righteously." And it said, you know, and you know, Jake, of course, King David went off, Solomon went off, and you're gonna say, well, what's the point? All our kings go off. Well, this elect is a different mode, and I'm not saying that just to be disrespectful against King David, you know, because he's still going to be king. But I'm just saying in these times of what things mean, and he was here again. He was here again. He came here again in reincarnation. So, you know, he got to see this side. He got to see certain things in the glory of how the Most High said, you know, he would give things to us, these riches and knowledge, wisdom, understanding. So, you know, you got to be careful who you choose as a king, because Israel wanted a king. And I think the Most High gave him King Saul, and, you know, King Saul became a whole house of the opposite of King David, you know. And then even with Jeroboam, the 10 tribes followed Jeroboam, and Jeroboam had them to go off to serve, to worship, you know, idols, and, you know, what do you call it? What's that other word for it? I forget. You know, the goat. Was it the golden calf? I think. And he said, so you don't have to travel all the way over there, because Rehoboam had became king, and it was a division, you know, and Jeroboam was, you know, afraid that they might go back and serve Rehoboam, and, you know, so he set up things that they could worship in the convenience of their surroundings. Hopefully I said that right. And this is, you know, 1 Samuel 15:11. It repented me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he has turned back from following me and had not performed my commandments, and it grieved Samuel. He cried unto the Lord all night. So, and dropped to 15:26, it says, and Samuel said unto Saul, I will not return to thee. with thee. So like, for thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, and the Lord have rejected thee from being king over Israel. So, the Most High set up kings, he taketh crowns, he put upon crowns of other men as he chooses. It says that. So, we hoping to be the next up to be kings. But, there's a play on words, and there's a play on men being set up in the position of being a king to where they have authority and leadership, just like Martin Luther King, that they'll lead Israel astray. And it talks about, Most High said, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. It said there should be a dreamer of dreams, and he should be put to death. Because they try to go up on their own hearts. But whatever they're doing is for the sake of Israel to learn. So Martin Luther King, and they put him above Malcolm X. Both of them was false prophets, but Malcolm X came from a strand of by any means necessary, and he had the gun. Basically, he was using Esau's blessing as a means of defense. And sometimes that happens to where you got to protect yourself. You buy a gun. So I don't really he knock him on such a level as that, to where it was used for defense. But he was in the wrong religion, and he knew the chosen people were Israel, and he's still pushing Elijah Muhammad and a black man, and so. But Israel even had chosen, so to speak, Martin Luther King to be kind of more justifiable than Malcolm X, because it was more of a freedom. It was more of a call out for freedom, which all our people, that's what they want. They just want to be free. They don't want to hold no accountability, and they just want to. So now they got them on fire. It's like, yeah, let freedom ring. We get to free the party and all that. The injustice is, sodomites be like, you won't let us be free. What about Martin Luther King? Or we can't, you judging us. And Martin Luther King said, you should judge not a man. And, he gave that kind of spirit. He emitted that spirit like that. So, Most High got rid of him, man. And he's really become a mockery into the truth, says. Look at this. MLK weekend. Seductive Sunday. Jake is all out. This is a real flyer. Jake is all wild out. No work, no school, Monday. So, you want a king like this, Most High said, I'll give you a king. He gonna lead you astray, though, into a burning house, like he said himself. So that's how you know, too, Yahweh Shai was strict. He wasn't for this BS. That's why they didn't like Yahweh Shai. They're talking about, I love Jesus. If they knew who they were really talking about, the Son of God, they 2/3 would hate him, and they do. In the spirit, especially when they learn who he really is. Yahweh Shai, that he didn't come to save the world. He's not a nice guy as they depicted him, like some pushover guy. Or he wasn't one of these characters, to where you can have a field day and you could barbecue and you could be free to do whatever and you can use that name, and that's good. That they refuse to believe that that's his name. Yeah, go ahead and use that Jesus stuff up, man. Because if you use Yahweh Shai the wrong way, you're gonna have to pay for that. But anyway, yeah. So you know, everyone's basically used as cattle, but you better have the right shepherd and be led the right way, or you'll end up like Michael Jordan and all those that has made sacrifices to Baal, Molech. Even to this very day, our people, all them people in the industry, celebrities, you know, Martin Luther King, you'll be dead on Martin Luther King Boulevard, on Malcolm X Boulevard. you know. Anyway, hopefully it's edifying to the next video. Shalom.